Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to submit extraneous materials on the topic of this special order.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, it has been an honor of my lifetime to serve in these sacred halls of the U.S. House of Representatives. And part of that great honor is to serve with fantastic colleagues, members of the U.S. House of Representatives. And I'd like to yield time to my great colleague, Paul Gosar from Arizona.
Thank you, Ms. Lesko. Mr. Speaker, I ask to recognize my good friend, the gentlelady from Arizona, Debbie Lesko, Representative Debbie Lesko. Representative Lesko has served Arizona's 8th Congressional District with distinction and honor. She has fought for Arizonans and all Americans and has been a champion for the people she represents. It is my honor serving with Representative Lesko in the Arizona delegation. As a colleague, we frequently collaborated as advocates on behalf of communities in Arizona. It is an honor here to stand tonight before you and tell my dear friend Debbie Lesko how much she means to me and how much I'm going to miss her in these hallowed halls of the House of Representatives. However, I'm heartened. I know she won't be too far away, and you can bet I'm going to continue to phone her whenever I need her advice and just to talk. More importantly, I'm confident her character, demeanor, and principles will continue to serve her well in Maricopa County, where she has been recently elected to the Board of Supervisors. But I'm worried about it. Debbie's in Congress. You know you represented 800,000 people with full-time staff. But now you will represent over 1 million people with just one full-time employee. Doge should learn something from you. Congress's loss is Maricopa's gain. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to serve with you. I applaud you for your service and I wish you all the best. Arizona is a better place because of you, Debbie Lesko. God bless you and your husband, Joe. I yield back.
Thank you, Representative Gosar. It means so much to me. And now I'd like to yield to my other colleague from Arizona, Representative Greg Stanton.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I rise tonight to send off my colleague, Debbie Lesko, and honor her long career in public service. I first got to know Debbie when she was working on pension reform as a state senator, and I was working on pension reform as mayor of the city of Phoenix. We were elected to Congress both in the year 2018, and over the last 6 years, we've probably canceled each other's votes out more often than not. But you know what? We've developed a really great friendship, spending so many hours together talking about our families and politics at Sky Harbor Airport and DCA as we wait to board our weekly flights back and forth to Washington. And I want to say something about Debbie. She inspires me. She is a survivor of domestic violence, and she got out of an abusive marriage. And you know what she did? She poured herself into our community on the Peoria School Board, at the state legislature, and now as a member of the United States Congress. That's a great American success story. And over her years in public office, she's shown immense courage in sharing her story as a domestic violence survivor and using her office to fight for other survivors to receive the care and attention they deserve. And to Debbie's husband, Joe, I see you on those weekly flights. It's not easy being a congressional spouse, and I see the long hours you put in to supporting Debbie. Thank you for sharing her with us. I'm going to miss Debbie in Congress, but she's continuing her work in public service as a newly elected Maricopa County supervisor. And Debbie, I have one request in your new role. Don't ever let the cyber ninjas back to Maricopa County, please. All right, in all seriousness, I'm wishing you all the very best. Godspeed, Congresswoman Lesko.
Thank you so much, Representative Stanton. Greatly appreciate the words, and I'll tell Joe as well. Next, I'd like to yield to my friend and colleague, Andy Biggs, from the great state of Arizona, who I've known for many years.
Thank you. You didn't have to put the mini in front of that there, Debbie. It's true. Yes, she was a young child when we first met. Now, I would say that it's an honor to speak on and recognize my good friend Debbie. When I was serving from the east side of the valley, and Debbie was in the school board, and actually right when you were getting elected on the school board, I started hearing about Debbie Lesko is going to be this great conservative Politico. And I did not know you. I did not know Debbie at that time, but I got to observe her. And then we ended up serving in the state legislature together. And she was dynamic and exciting and actually conservative. And she did, as Greg mentioned, she worked on the pension reform. Now, the bulk of that took place after I left, thankfully, because pension reform, as anybody who's ever done it, is one ugly thing, and it takes a lot of courage. And Debbie exhibited courage, and I would get reports on how you were doing that. And she brought in people with very disparate interests. She worked with them. She got them on board, and she would tell them where the rubber met the road. So that was really awesome. And then I'm here, and then next thing I know, Debbie's here with me. And so the bad news for me is that she's going home to Maricopa County, and she's going to do a great job there. Great news for Maricopa County, which, by the way, is one of the largest counties in the country, and about, 5.5 million people, I think, in the county, something like that, with only 5 supervisors. And Debbie has told me this, and I know that she's told Paul this, and I know she's told Greg this, and I know she's told David and Juan this. She only has 1.5 staffers. And that's really bugging her, I can tell you that. But she's going to do a great job. She's been a great friend. And I will also pay homage to Joe and Debbie's family, who've been so supportive, literally for many years. So, with that,
Don't make me cry, Andy.
I'm like Winston Churchill. I'm a crier. But Cindy and I love you.
Thank you very much, Andy. And Congressman Biggs, you are a great friend. Thank you so much. We'll be working many years together. I'm going to keep calling you. And Mr. Speaker, now I'd like to yield to my friend, Diana Harshberger from Tennessee. And Diana and I sit with each other in the women's row, and sometimes guys want to, infiltrate, and we kick them out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the work and legacy of my dear friend and colleague, Congresswoman Debbie Lesko from the great state of Arizona. I've had the privilege of working alongside Congresswoman Lesko for almost 4 years. And in that time, I've had the opportunity to get to know her working on Energy and Commerce Committee and the caucuses we share. Congresswoman Lesko is a true civil servant, leader, and dedicated mother and grandmother to a wonderful family, and I know they will be grateful to be able to spend more time with her at home. Throughout her career in Congress, Ms. Lesko has dedicated herself to defending the very principles that our nation was founded upon. She stood up for religious freedom, speaking boldly in favor of faith-based institutions faced with encroachments from the federal government. She has defended life, introducing legislation to prevent the dismemberment of unborn children in the womb, and she stood up for justice, launching the Protect Kids Caucus to defend the innocent children in our schools, healthcare, and government programs. So, Mr. Speaker, Congresswoman Lesko's unwavering commitment to faith, family, and freedom has left an incredible mark on these halls and the lives of countless Americans. While her leadership will be deeply missed, her legacy of service will continue to be remembered for years to come. So thank you, Debbie, for being a wonderful friend to me, and I'll miss you, and we're going to charge for the seat that you're going to vacate if somebody wants to sit there, okay? Thank you. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Thank you very much, Diana. I greatly appreciate it. Well, Mr. Speaker, next I'd like to yield to my colleague from Arizona, who's sitting to my left, Representative David Schweikert, who I've known for a long time, too. I went to your, like a wedding reception, I think, your wedding reception. And so I yield to Representative
And that's
Schweikert.
like 20, look, one of the magic things about Debbie Lesko is she has proven you can be conservative and not be angry about it. You can actually be joyful and kind and sweet and just a decent human being. And I've learned more things about urban chickens from her because I have a 9-year-old that really wants Daddy to build a chicken coop. But don't laugh. She really is. But just an observation, because we sit on this airplane every week, fly back, and I often sit next to Debbie. And, you know, other members, you see them on their computers watching movies. Debbie has a stack of things, because she doesn't use her computer, she has a stack of paper. You know, they do make these things called laptops. And she's there with her highlighter for hours on the airplane. That's the sort of thing you notice. You can be kind, you can be loving, you can be joyful. And Debbie, I think you're going to have an amazing experience as the leadership of Maricopa County. Remember, Maricopa County is right now the 4th most populous county in America. I actually still believe it's going to cross over Harris counties. If there weren't so many hurricanes in the area, that we probably would have already. But I used to be the county treasurer. And trust me, after some years around here, I miss those days when you could actually do things. Mm-hmm. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss sometimes when you are my guiding, when I'm just mad, because I seem to be mad a lot. And you just sort of smile and say, well, that's sort of how it is. And I think you're going to do amazing things for the people of the West Valley as their supervisor. And we're going to be making some very tough decisions here in the next couple of years, where we're going to need the leadership at our state and local levels, because a lot of the dollars we don't have any more to send. So a lot of our problems we're going to be sending to you soon. So we love you, Debbie.
Thank you very much, David. And I greatly appreciate the friendship and the work we've done together. Mr. Speaker, next I'd like to yield to my other Arizona colleague, Juan Ciscomani, who used to work for Governor Ducey, and that's how I met him. And he's such a great member of Congress, and I'm so happy he got reelected because he's in a tough swing district.
Thank you. Well, Debbie, Mr. Speaker, I rise today to congratulate and honor and pay tribute to my good friend, Debbie Lesko, who you've been an inspiration to so many. We've worked on different projects together. You've been a speaker and a panelist for some of the programs that Laura and I have done for youth and especially for women. I think you're a shining example, and a lot has been said by those that work the closest with you, which are, of course, our colleagues in the Arizona delegation, of your wit, your grace, your smile, the way in which you carry yourself and you execute on our priorities and our conservative values that, as has been said before, you're conservative, you're just not angry about it. And you've gone out there and you've done the work and you've put in the time. And I agree, seeing you on that plane, you and Joe many times, is great. I will much rather sit next to you than next to David or Greg. So I enjoy those trips back home when I got a chance to sit with you. And you're a hard worker, giving your best to your constituents every single time. And even those that live in the southern part of the state, like myself and others, really admired your work the entire time. I know you're going to do great things for the county of Maricopa as well and for the entire state. My family, Laura, our 6 kids, and I wish you the very best in your next journey. You were a great source for me in my freshman year on questions, from the most basic ones to the most complex ones. And your piece and the way that you tackle these issues was always very inspiring, but also it gave me a great deal of confidence into what we could do in this place. So you've been a great mentor and a great friend. So thank you so much. We love you, and we're going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan. And I'm going to be calling you when I need help from the county.
Always.
All right. And next, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield to my friend who's on Energy and Commerce and my colleague, Morgan Griffith from the great state of Virginia. And I serve as his vice chair on one of the oversight committees on Energy and Commerce.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor my friend and colleague from Arizona's 8th Congressional District, Congresswoman Debbie Lesko. I have had the distinct pleasure of serving alongside her, as she just told you, in the Energy and Commerce Committee, and more specifically on the committee's Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee, which I chair. This Congress, she served as the vice chair of that subcommittee. We explored and investigated many important issues, some of which include COVID-19 origins, and then she did some more work on that. Drug shortages, the potential exploitation of unaccompanied minors crossing our southern border. Her work with me related to world anti-doping in sports was outstanding and really very much appreciated. Everybody here speaking already knows this, but for those folks watching at home, this is one smart, tough lady, and I have really, really enjoyed working with her on a number of issues over her terms here in Congress. Her hard work, her strong conservative record is obviously appreciated back home. As you've heard others say, Mr. Speaker, she just recently won election to a seat on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. I congratulate you, Debbie, on a fantastic career in the United States House, and I applaud your decision to continue public service a little bit closer to home as a member of the Board of Supervisors in Maricopa County. But your work will be missed, and it's appreciated, but it also will be missed when we reconvene and start trying to tackle some tough issues, whether it be healthcare or telecom or whatever that Energy and Commerce has jurisdiction over. But thank you for your service. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Morgan, and I appreciate you. You always have a great legal mind, and I come to you for legal questions, and you're a great person. Thank you.
You're very kind. Thank you. You likewise are a great human being.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I'd next like to yield time to my friend and colleague who serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee, Brett Guthrie from the great state of Kentucky.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in honor of my good friend, Debbie Lesko, and her service to our country. What a great member of the Energy and Commerce Committee. I have to say, I know that people should be excited that she's going to come back home and serve, but we were really disappointed that you were leaving because you're just so good at what you do. And as many speakers have said tonight, you're a fighter. You're absolutely conservative, and you're a fighter, but you always bring people along with you, and you can track people because you want to bring them into the fold and not try to fight everybody outside of the tent. And it's just been a pleasure working with you and your grasp of issues and the way you work before big hearings. You know you're going to be prepared. You know you're going to be there, and you're going to make things happen. And it's just been a great privilege. And I remember when you said that you were running for the county supervisors in Maricopa County, and I just looked at it. The first thought is, because I used to serve in the state legislature, and every legislative body in the country is so vital and so important. But I can't help but think, I first thought, you're going to leave the House of United States House of Representatives to go back and serve in county government. But it just shows that it's not a title to you. It's how you can best serve. And it just means a lot. I have friends of mine and others, do you think I should run for this or the other? I said, you're doing a great job where you are. And it's every level of government is important. And I remember when Janice Hahn, I don't know if you were here when she was here, left to go be an LA Board of Supervisors. I said, you're leaving to go back and run for the county board? And she said, it's bigger than a congressional district. So yours probably is or close to it. And it's just a great privilege to be here, to know that I'm with someone who's about service, not about her own title. And we're going to miss you. I want to say that first and foremost, but we're also excited for you. We're excited for the people of Maricopa County because they're getting one heck of a fighter. They're getting one heck of a believer. They're getting somebody that's going to give all their heart and soul. And we're going to miss her here. They're going to love you there as they already do, but they're going to love having you home. And God bless you. You're a dear friend, and I'll yield back.
Thank you very much, Brett. I really greatly appreciate it. And
Give you a hug when you finish.
okay, well, we can hug now.
Okay, great. Congrats. Yeah, congrats.
Thank you very much. Well, you know, this is kind of overwhelming, but I want to yield next to one of my friends and one of the ladies that sits next to me in our woman row over here, and that is my friend and colleague from Illinois, Mary Miller.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the work and legacy of my friend, Representative Debbie Lesko. It has been such a pleasure to serve with her in the 117th and the 118th Congress. When I first arrived, Representative Lesko was the most generous with her time, helping me navigate my way, answering questions, and offering advice. I was so grateful. Representative Lesko is a genuinely good person, a true servant of our country, and a smart and fine lady also. Thank you for that example that you've given. Representative Lesko has a sincere care for our children and grandchildren and wants to make sure that they are left with a legacy and access to the freedom and opportunities that we've all had to pursue the American dream. Debbie, I wish you all the best as you go back to Maricopa County, Arizona, to serve the good people there.
Thank you, Mary. That was so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Mr. Speaker, now I'd like to yield to my friend and colleague, Michelle Fishbach from Minnesota. And I remember when Michelle came in, and we shared someone that helped us with our campaign, and she said, you need to meet Michelle. And I met her, and I thought she was great, and I have ever since.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Speaker, I rise today to thank Ms. Lesko for her service. And I have been honored to serve with Debbie. And she mentioned, you mentioned we met before I was elected, but I have to admit, it was in a nail salon. Is the first time we met. Nobody else here can probably say that. But, I know that so many of the speakers have talked about Debbie's service, and, it's been incredible. And so they have really honored you with that and talked about that. But I just wanted to say, one of the things that I just loved about Debbie is I've never seen her in a bad mood. Never seen her in a bad mood. And I was her whip representative, so I had to come and ask her how she was voting. And always a smile on her face. And so I congratulate you on your new role in Arizona. And I think that the people of Arizona and your county are going to be so incredibly well served, and you will do a wonderful job for them. And I would like to thank her for her service in Congress, and would like to thank her for her friendship and your kindness. And I've been so grateful for the guidance that you gave me as a freshman, and I'm sure so many others, because that is the kind of person you are. And, I think she is especially happy that I was elected because I took your spot on Rules Committee. So, but I am incredibly grateful that I've been able to call you a friend for the last 4 years, and I have no doubt that she is going to continue to do incredible things in your public service. And, I know you're excited about that new chapter. You are going to be missed here, so come and visit occasionally, and God bless, and all the best in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Greatly appreciate it. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'd now like to yield to a friend and fellow Energy and Commerce Committee colleague, and someone who we were on a boat somewhere and flying through. It was raining like heck, and I think you had like a towel or something over your face. I don't know, but it was quite the experience. This lady, Marionette Miller Meeks, is just like a Energizer bunny. Every place I go, she's there. I don't even know how you do it, Marionette. But, Mr. Speaker, I yield to my friend.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor Debbie Lesko, Representative Lesko. Although I am not from Arizona, I would wonderfully be in Arizona to have her as my representative. Now, yes, indeed, we were on a boat in Grand Lake in Oklahoma for a heat and Western Caucus event, and it was, you don't think of Oklahoma as being cold. It was cold and rainy and nasty, but we were troopers and we were out there. But then my next interaction with Ms. Lesko was approaching her about steering and how to get on the Energy and Commerce Committee. And she was gracious, kind, knowledgeable, a tremendous mentor as she was to everybody. And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen Debbie smile as much as I've seen her tonight and as I've watched this on video. And then getting on Energy and Commerce, she was just one tier above me. And then we also served, although I had served on the select subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis, my first term between 2021 and 2022, she then came on the committee this term. So we were serving in the 118th Congress, both on Energy and Commerce and on the select subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis. And you've heard a lot about her kindness, her mentoring, her friendship. You've heard about her grace. You've heard how she's conservative but not angry, and that is such a great description of her. But what you didn't hear a lot about was her intellect. Debbie studies, she's smart, she's able to dissect through things, she's able to prioritize, she's able to condense very complex topics into a 5-minute question and answer period. And I am telling you, if you're on the witness and you're giving testimony, you don't want to be on the bad side of Debbie Lesko. She won't be angry, she won't be vindictive, she won't use profanity, but you're going to know that you have been taken to the cleaners. She will come out with a statement, she'll smile, she'll lead up to it, and then bam, and you're going, where the heck did that come from? But that's Debbie Lesko. That's the power of Debbie Lesko. That's the power of preparation. And in my time in the military, you learn, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. She always plans. She is always on target. She always studies. She always reads. And quite honestly, isn't that what we as Americans want of our Congress people? If they're going to make laws, if they're going to hold government accountable, don't we want people that do the work that their constituents ask them to do? She's a role model for all of us and an inspiration on what a citizen servant should be. And then next, if you get to travel with her, you don't have to go on a boat in the rain in Oklahoma. You can go to some far-off countries. She's a great shopping companion. She likes to try all kinds of different foods. She does her homework on the plane over and on the plane back. But she just is a genuine, lovely person to travel and be with. And when members of Congress have to travel places, especially far off, for the work that they do, you really want to have somebody in the seat next to you that's a joy to be with and not making all kinds of noises and all kinds of stuff, and they're not high maintenance. She's a shining example of what a good travel companion, what a good member of Congress is. I'm probably over my time, but it has been a real joy to serve with Debbie Lesko. The 4 years I've served with her, a tremendous asset to Energy and Commerce and to the Select Subcommittee that we've served on together. She will be deeply missed. I will deeply miss her. She will be missed in our conference for all of the reasons that everybody has said. And we know she's going to continue to do great things for the people of Arizona, and we wish her all the best. And I know her husband is very happy to have her back. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield, and I'm going to go hug Debbie.
Oh, thank you very much, Marion. Don't make me cry. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'm going to come to the other podium. Mr. Speaker, serving in the U.S. House of Representatives has been an honor of a lifetime. Very surreal. You know, as someone said before, I think my colleague Greg Stanton from Arizona, over 31 years ago, I left an abusive ex-husband, and I had a little daughter, and there was times I had no money. I remember there was a time I had no place to live. I went to see if I could get into a shelter, and it was full. And to go from that, just trying to survive, to serving here, shows you that God is good and America is good. And from going from that to flying on Air Force One, to sitting in my apartment in Washington, D.C., and getting a call from the President of the United States, President Trump, from staying overnight and being invited to Camp David, which not too many people get to do, and to be selected by President Trump of one of only 8 U.S. Congress members to serve on his impeachment defense team. Wow. Just absolutely unbelievable. And in the 6 years and almost 8 months that I've been here, I have been part of history. So much history that has never happened before I experienced. I served on the Judiciary Committee during both impeachments, but it went through committee on the first impeachment of President Trump. And I saw firsthand how I thought it was so corrupt and politically motivated, and it disgusted me. I was so upset. I really studied hard. I studied all of the so-called evidence, and it was just, it was a dark time in the United States. I was there when Robert Mueller came to Judiciary Committee to testify, and we all prepared, and it was kind of really a surprise of how he testified and wasn't able to answer certain questions. I was here and lived through Congress through COVID, when Speaker Pelosi mandated that we wear masks in all of the committees and on the floor, when Speaker Pelosi put metal detectors right outside of those doors and every single member of Congress had to go through metal detectors as if we were some type of threat. I was here when Speaker Pelosi instituted proxy voting on the floor, never been done before in the history of the United States, not through different diseases, not through wars, but we did it here, and I joined in the lawsuit against it, thinking it was unconstitutional. And I was here on January 6th. That was just a crazy day. So I have had one heck of a ride. One heck of a ride here. And have met so many great people. And truly, I believe that the vast majority of Congress members are good people who want to make a difference in our lives. I have been able to help hundreds of constituents, and that is such a great feeling because they've come up to me. Some of these constituents have come up to me crying, saying, "Debbie, you were able to help me. I was at my wit's end. I couldn't get my Social Security payment. I couldn't get my veteran benefit payment, and your office helped me." And that's really satisfying to me. I was able to pass legislation. Not only was I a co-sponsor of the big border bill, securing the border and other great bills, but my own bills, Save Our Gas Stoves and Hands Off Our Home Appliances, was passed out of this House. I was able to serve on the prestigious Energy and Commerce Committee, the Select Subcommittee on COVID, the Judiciary Committee, the Rules Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, and the Science and Space Committee. What an honor. I was also served on the WHIP team and on the steering committee where we would select which Republicans served on which committees and which Republicans served as chairman or ranking members on the committees. I've made a lot of great friends. Some of them are here today. And I'll never forget you. But now it's time for me to move on. I have a great family at home. My mother's 95. My husband, my loving husband's home. I have 3 kids. I have 6 grandkids. And a brother, a sister that all live within 20 minutes of my house. And I'm here in Washington, D.C., 60, 70% of the time. There's something wrong with that picture. So as I leave, it's kind of bittersweet. But I'm happy. I'm happy I'm going home, and I'm happy I've had this experience of my lifetime. I'll never regret it. So I want to thank my constituents who have always put their trust in me, the voters in my district, President Trump, who has supported me, my staff that has worked in my congressional office, either now or in the past, and the staff here at the Capitol. You've been great people, and I won't forget it. So thank you, and God bless all of you as God has blessed me. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.